Mentally, she's going to become more clear, focused, and productive. Emotionally, she's going to become more expressive, happy, creative, and joyful. And spiritually, more connected, authentic, and soulful. Man, if that's not exceeding expectations, I don't know what is. With her speech titled, Red Riding Hood, A New Spin, please welcome our very own high-performance coach, Alana Love.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Most of you have heard the story of Little Red Riding Hood. It's a tale of a little girl and a wolf, a big, bad wolf. Tonight I'm going to share with you a different version of that story, one where the characters flourish. The little girl in the story had red hair. She loved red. Red was her favorite color. She loved red food, red fruit, red flowers, red birds. And for her birthday, her mother made her this beautiful red velvet cloak with a great big hood. And because she wore it all the time, they called her Little Red Riding Hood. That's how she got her name. Now, in the story, her mother gave her this basket of food to take to her grandmother's house. Now, in the original story, it was cake and wine. But in this version, it's a little different. In the big basket were two great, big, huge, juicy pastrami sandwiches. Little Red Riding Hood got the basket, and according to the story, off she went to Grandma's house in the forest. And that is where she met the wolf. Now, the wolf really wasn't a bad wolf. He was an orphan. He hadn't learned how to behave. And he was always hungry. And when he was hungry, he was a bully. He was grouchy. And he would scare the little children so they would drop the food and he would have something to eat. He didn't want to eat anybody. He was just hungry. He was watching Red Riding Hood from behind the trees, and as she got closer, he could smell those pastrami sandwiches. And his stomach rumbled, and he got even hungrier, and he had to figure out a way, how was he going to get the sandwiches? If you recall in the story, he distracted Red Riding Hood by having her go pick some fresh flowers for Grandma. Great idea. Off she went into the forest, saw some beautiful red flowers, and she started picking them. The wolf ran to Grandma's house because he figured that he could have two meals, the pastrami sandwiches, and I'm sure Grandma had to have some food in her house. He knocked on the door. He knocked harder. Silence. He opened the door and peeked in. No one was there. Grandma wasn't there. She was actually in the forest picking some herbs. He looked around and he didn't have much time, and he saw Grandma's nightgown and big cap on the bed. So he ran and put the nightgown on, he pulled the big cap on, jumped into bed, and pulled the curtains closed, and he waited. Red Riding Hood came in. Door was slightly open. She had all those beautiful fresh flowers. Good morning, Grandma! She didn't hear anything. She looked in and she thought maybe Grandma wasn't feeling well. Maybe she's in bed. So she walked over to the bed and pulled the curtains. There was Grandma in bed, but she looked a little strange. Grandma, what big ears you have! Riding Hood let out a scream, "Ah!" and the door swung open. Now, if you recall in the original story, it was a huntsman with a gun who killed the wolf. This version's a little bit different. It was a Forest Service ranger who'd been tracking the wolf for a couple of weeks because they'd had complaints that there was an orphan wolf bullying and terrorizing the children. He did have a gun, but it was a tranquilizer. And so he shot the wolf, and the wolf dropped to the floor fast asleep. When the wolf woke up, he was in Washington State in a wolf sanctuary called Wolf Haven, where they would bring injured wolves, old wolves, orphan wolves together to create a family to take care of them, where they would get fed every day and they would be safe. And that was such a blessing for this wolf because suddenly he had a family. And the older, wiser wolves taught him wolf etiquette. So he didn't have to be a bad wolf anymore. And what was excellent about this story is not only did the wolf have a happy ending,